For some time now, we've talked about this on our program. At America's Newsroom, we've told you about the new taxes lurking inside an energy bill making its way through Congress. In the next hour, Republicans unwrap their alternative to the Democratic plan. But why wait an hour? We take the wraps off this hour with Joe Barton, a Republican out of Texas, ranking member of the House Energy Committee. How are you, sir? And good morning to you. I guess in short order, what is your plan detail, sir?
Well, our plan is basically a production plan to develop our domestic resources from nuclear power, solar power, wind power, hydropower, and of course oil and gas. We put research into carbon capture and sequestration. We have some incentives to move towards existing coal plants retrofitting, but what we don't do is put a cap and tax or a cap and trade program in place that would wreck the economy.
And how do you do that? And I guess specifically on the plan that I saw, the #1 issue on your plan is nuclear power. Now, you know the French have it. Apparently the Iranians have it too, and apparently that's okay based on what we heard last week. Now, you know about regulations on nuclear power. Has there been a nuclear power plant built in this country since 1978? How is the focus going to be successful in nuclear power this time?
Well, we want to do continue to do some permitting reform so that we can get the new generation designs permitted. We think that we ought to go ahead and move ahead with a Yucca Mountain repository in Nevada, but we're also willing to look at reprocessing if the country wants to reprocess rather than purely store. And then we have loan guarantees so that the first 5 to 10 nuclear power plants have some guarantee that if they need a little extra financial assistance, they'll get it.
Well, how do you account for the time it takes to build a nuclear plant? And how do you get around the regulations? Because those are two big stumbling blocks in your way.
Well, we don't want to, as you put it, get around the regulations. We want the American public to know that nuclear power is totally safe. But we have this is in current law. That we did several years ago. We have a one-step licensing program now that you get your operating permit at the same time that you get your construction permit, but you have to have rigorous oversight so that the Nuclear Regulatory Commission can come in and monitor the construction and then the installation of the equipment, and the public still has the right to intervene if they think that there is in fact some flaw that needs to be addressed.
And take that with regard to the public, and I apologize for the interruption. I'm just trying to squeeze a lot of information in a short period of time here, and I know your plan's extensive, but when it comes to the public, do you feel that they have changed somewhat in terms of they're willing to accept nuclear power?
I think so. Most of the opinion polls show that somewhere between 60 and 70% of the American public support nuclear power. It is zero emissions. It is cost effective. The carbon capture and sequestration technology, which really hasn't been developed for coal plants yet, is very, very expensive, at least in the prototype stage. You could build and operate a nuclear power plant with existing technology and sell that electricity residentially at retail for under 10 cents a kilowatt hour. So that's, if you really want to move to a carbon-free environment.
In English, that means it would be cheaper, correct?
Well, it would not be more expensive than today's power. I mean, if you're in California or New York, you're probably paying 20 to 25 cents a kilowatt hour. In Texas, you're paying about 12. So 10 cents. If you're in Kentucky or Ohio, you're paying about 7 or 8 cents. But on average, anything less than 10 cents is very cost competitive.
Okay. You know what a lot of people really want to know is it appears the House will pass this. Do I have that right? The Democratic plan, they're ready to pass that. But
no, I don't think that's a given. I don't think that's a given. Well, it barely got out of committee, which they had stacked with a ratio more favorable to the Democrats in the committee than it is in the full House. There are a lot of what I call job state Democrats that still have industrial and manufacturing and agricultural in their districts, and they're not really excited about the cap and tax part of the bill that came out of the Energy Committee. I think we'd have a reasonable chance to defeat it on the House floor if Speaker Pelosi brings it up. I'm not saying we will defeat it, but I don't think the average citizen in this country wants to pay $2,000 to $3,000 a year more perhaps lose their job, have those jobs go to China and India, and see no environmental benefit.
Okay. The reason I asked that is because all the indications have been given, is that the House would pass it, but the Senate is going to have a very tough time. But interesting vote to watch, sir, and thank you. We will wait to see your plan unveiled at 10:30 Eastern Time. Joe Barton, Republican out of Texas. Thank you, sir.